Okay, welcome everyone to Blender. So today what I'm going to be doing is making a mug. So to begin with, I'm just going to go ahead and just put the screencasting keys on for you guys. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of the default cube, and we'll go ahead and press add. We're going to go with circle. And what I'm going to do from here, let's go ahead and split the atom right here. We'll do a 1 for a side view, and then we're going to go with just a regular view on this side. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and click this circle, and we'll go to edit mode. Press F for fill, E for extrude. You're going to go upwards just slightly, and then we're going to go S for scale, just to give it that nice little bevel. Let's go E for extrude, up again, E for extrude, S for scale, and then we're going to go E for extrude, and then S for scale, and just give it a nice little base to this. I'm just going to press G and just bring this up just ever so slightly, and just S for scale just to bring it in just ever so slightly. And all we're going to do is just curve the cup around essentially where the mug is going to be. So something just akin to this. So let's go E for extrude again. I'm just going to go ahead and just scale this image just slightly to give it that nice little bump. And then E for extrude, and we'll start to do the edges of the cup right here. So E for extrude again, S for scale. And then we can kind of just come around, make that nice little bevel just on the edge. And then we can go E for extrude, don't move it. S for scale, bring it in. So now you should have something like this just on top. Because this is porcelain, we're going to want to make this a little bit thicker. So what I'm going to ask you to do is place on the toggle X-ray, which is just up here in the corner. And we're going to go for E for extrude, bring this down. You can go ahead and do E for extrude and just bring it outwards slightly just to follow the curve of the cup if you'd like. But then we're going to go E for extrude, bring this down, E for extrude, bring it down again. And then we're just going to round it off at the bottom. As such. Once we've got something like this, we're going to turn it over to the bottom plate. Select the bottom plane right here. We're going to go E for extrude. Leave it where it is. S for scale. And then E for extrude again. Bring it up just slightly. S for scale to bring it inwards. And then E for extrude and S for scale to bring it inwards again. Just for the middle right here. So now we've got this nice little kind of porcelain, kind of holiday cup that we could put some mulled wine in. So we're going to go ahead and shade this smooth. I'm going to go ahead. Let's see now. So we're on the red line just here for the side view. We're going to go and add. You can add a cylinder or you can add a circle depending on what you want. I'm going to add a cylinder. Let's go with G. Bring this to the side. Bring this up. Essentially what you want to do is make this a little bit smaller and then curve it around on to here. So I'm just going to turn this around so that this is facing the same way. Let's go a little bit smaller. So let's go S to scale. I'm going to go ahead and just S scale it down so it's more of an oval. S to scale again. So just put it roughly about there so you can just get a hand through it. We're going to go edit mode. Take the top face right here. We're going to go E for extrude. Bring this up. Using the center scroll. Let's go with G. Bring this across. G, bring this down. I'm going to go E for extrude again. We're going to go G, bring this across. And I'm going to go R for rotate. Now, depending on how big you want your little handle right here, you can have this as a large rotation or a small rotation. The smaller the rotations and the more extrude you do, the smoother it will be. The larger the rotations and less extrudes that you do, the more rougher it's going to be. So let's go for E for extrude again. We'll move this across. Press G, move this up, and I'm going to go rotate again. Make sure that you're working on the y-axis when you're rotating. We'll press G, we'll bring this down again. I'm going to go E for extrude, bring this across. And maybe just go G just to bring it up a little bit, just to kind of curve it just ever so slightly. And then we can go rotate roughly straight again. And we can go E for extrude and just bring it to the side. Now, depending on how big you want the handle to be, because I think this is a little bit too far away, is how big you'll have that stretch. So, we're going to go to the bottom face right here. We're going to do the exact same. We've got E for extrude. And this one, you're kind of going to want to curve a little bit more. So, let's go for R for rotate. G, move this across. I'm just going to bring this down a little bit further. And then we can go E for extrude. Got that nice little extrude right there. R for rotate, let's bring this round. G, just bring this across. And then we can go E for extrude and we can kind of put this into the side of the cup. So now we can go to object mode. Right click, shade smooth. We can go with G. Bring this across. And this should sit just on the inside of the mug right here. If you need to extrude a couple of these, don't worry about it. Let's go into X-ray mode and we can go to edit mode. Take this face right here and we can go E for extrude and just bring it in just a little bit. You see how that new extrude is now in there. And then you've got the one underneath here. So, what I was saying before with the extrudes and everything will kind of be a little, I don't know how to describe this. Like, it's not as smooth. The less extrudes that you do, the less smooth it would be, if that makes any sense. So we've got this one right here where it's just really straight, and then we've got this one right here which is really straight as well. If we go Control R, we can loop cut this. We can go G, bring this down, and we can make this a little bit more smoother. We can also take this one. We can go Control R into the side right here. We can go G, and we can bring this across, and this will make this a lot more smoother. We can also do the same to any of the other parts on this handle. Let's go for object mode real quick. You can see that it's a little bit stiff, but that's okay. Let's go and go to modifiers. You can also modify this to smooth if it works for you. Oops. Smooth. And you can just kind of smooth that out a little bit if you wanted to. Sometimes it doesn't work as well as you'd like it to, but it gives it that kind of nice little curve going on. So what I would say with this handle as well, because it is a hot cup, I'm going to go S and scale this outwards so that the edge of the handle is just that little bit thicker. You could also go ahead and add one of these to the other side if you wanted to, but for this design we're just going to keep it as is. So you can also press S for scale and scale this outwards a little bit if you wanted to. Just about there. But make sure that your handle isn't interacting with the inside of the cup as such. So if I come off the X-ray mode right here, you can see that there is a little bit of this handle sticking into the cup right there. So what I'm going to do, let's press G and move this back, so that we can't see that, so that it's nice and neat as such. So what we can do with this now is we can add a plane underneath just to help with the lighting. Just make sure that's underneath. And what I'm going to do, let's go to shading. We will go and click the main one right here. We're going to go new material. Let's call this material main. And what I'm going to do, let's take this material output in Principal BSDF and just move it to the side. We're going to go ahead and add a noise texture. Place this here. You want color to base color. And we're going to get almost like stars on this. So let's go with that. Let's add a color ramp. Spot the American way. And let's go ahead and place, I think we should go We've kind of like a black and white, but maybe red as well. So we could go plus. Let's have a red. We want the cup itself to have that nice little sparkly look to it. So maybe just about there for the red. Let's go and up the metallic just a little bit. Because usually these are porcelain, so they've got some sort of reflection to them. Just about there, I think. Go ahead and change your render engine if you haven't already from Eevee to Cycles. So, the handle as well, right here, we're going to need this the same texture. So go down to the drop down just here, and you should be able to find main. And this will be the exact same texture as this. So now we have this nice little porcelain cup. We could go ahead and add another texture to this. So I'm going to go ahead and just select these two, put them to the side. Let's go with an add. We should be able, let's see, I want to combine. So if we go multiply, I'm pretty sure it's multiply. Yes, multiply. Take your multiply, put it between your color ramp, noise, texture, and base color. We'll go ahead and we'll add, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and copy these two. So Shift D. Put this into the secondary one. So now what you should have, if we move the factor, we have A, this is factor A, and this will be factor B. Anything in between is a combination of the two. So if we go for factor B right here, and I up the black, you see how that changes? And then if we go back to factor A, we can see that we have white. So we can kind of do that combination. So I think the best way to show you this maybe is to just have, let's get rid of the minus the black, minus the white. So this is just white. Should work. Gonna get rid of that noise texture real quick. Come on. For some reason that one didn't want to work. Let's go ahead and just change that, amend that just slightly. So we've got this. If we pull the white, should get whiter on this side, and the black is there. So, just trying to show you an example here. We scale this down, maybe. I think the computer's just taking its time at the moment. But yeah, basically, if you have it at 0, it's going to be option A. If you have it at B, it's going to be option B. And then 50-50 for the both of them. So, yes. Let's get this nice texture up a little bit. I just want to go ahead and amend some of how this is working. So I'm going to get majority of factor A in here, and then factor B can kind of just be in the background. So I'm just going to distort a few things, turn down the roughness, up the scale. Actually no, I'm going to down the scale a little bit, put some detail in there. And you see how this changes from both of the factors. So essentially what I'm trying to do here is add a little bit of detail in with this pattern. So essentially every cup that's made within a factory isn't going to look the same. It's going to have little patterns that are different, it's going to have paint jobs that are different and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get that kind of difference, if that makes sense. So the next thing that I'm going to do, since many of these porcelain cups can get scratches on them and stuff like that, let's go to add. And I'm going to go and put in a Veroni texture. Let's add that Veroni texture there. Let's go colour from Veroni into roughness. And see how that looks. So now we have this nice little pattern going on, if you guys can see that. You can go ahead and change this from F1 to F2. This is F2's pattern. If you experiment with smooth F1, this is what you'll get. So you can kind of have almost like heat stains on there as well. You know, like when you put heat into something and you can see the condensation on the outside. Or, you know, whatever it might be. Maybe there's like a little bit of dirt to it or something like that. You could have something like that. Little difference in paint as well. Something of akin. If we go from smooth F1, which I think I might use, to distance to edge, this is what that one looks like. If you go from distance to edge to end sphere, this is what this one will generally look like. Now, I don't really see much difference between the last few, but the smooth F1 is definitely something that I'm going to put into this project. So the next thing that you can do with this is you can go ahead and add a bump texture, and this will just emphasize some of those little marks. So if you place that between Veroni texture and Principled BSDF, just on the white line there, and then change color to height. Now this might take my computer a couple of seconds just to figure out the stuff for it, but this is generally what it will look like. So it's kind of like this nice shiny cup with little bumps, little abrasions on there even, and we could scale this up, scale this down a little bit. It gives it the opinion that it's got little scratches and little imperfections and stuff like that. Maybe it's been kept at the German market for a while. Lots of people have used it and it's been scratched, it's been chipped, all that kind of stuff. Generally in my area, when we have the German markets, you can buy these cups. So you actually buy the cup and then buy the wine inside of the cup. And if you don't return the cup, you can keep the cup. But if you return the cup, then you get your money back. So it's kind of a clever way of people not stealing the cups. But yeah, that is generally a German market cup. Especially the ones that we have here in Manchester that, well, we do have patterns on them and stuff like that, but this is generally how they look. Yeah, I think the ones from last year had like little snowmen on them and stuff like that, and there was various different ones. But yeah, that's generally how they look. If you guys enjoyed this tutorial, please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.